11th of December 2022, this Skidmark I'm going to talk about Apartheid and Black lives. There has been a lot of stories, and every now and then these IQ 70 keyboard warriors will start with a new thing on Twitter and on Facebook and so forth about the brutalities of apartheid. And 99% of the things that they are saying is utter lies and bullshit, all done for sensationalism. And the big culprit is the EFF. They are the ones that usually unleash these apartheid bashing wars on social media. I'm going to read you an article, and this one I'm going to read a lot. I will show all the clips from my document that I use as source. You can stop the video if you want to read the documents properly. This was from Etienne Marais, an old article by Black Journalist 2001. How many blacks died under apartheid? An old article from 2001 written by a black journalist. He mentioned some of the statistics of deaths during the apartheid years and also thereafter. By Vuzile Tshabalala, journalist. August 2001. At the start of the year 1900, the number of African South Africans was found to be 3.5 million, according to the British colonial government census. By 1954, our African population has soared to 8.5 million, and by 1990, there were a full 35 million of us. All carefully managed, closely policed, counted, shunted around in homelands and townships, and all of us shaving and griping under the suppressive yoke of the Afrikaner Broederbond's radical, rigid racial segregation system. Our population growth and our average life expectancy in fact showed us Africans in South Africa to be in a better than average health when compared to other Africans on the rest of the continent. In the decades prior to the official policy of apartheid, which was started in 1948, the average life expectancy of African South Africans was only 38 years. However, during the last decade of apartheid era from 48 to 94, our average life expectancy has risen to 64 years, on a par with Europe's average life expectancy. Moreover, our infant death rates had by then also been reduced from 174 to 55 infant deaths per thousand, higher than Europe's but considerably lower than the rest of African continents. And the African population in South Africa had by then also increased by 50%. Source: The Crime Against Humanity, Analyzing Repression of the Apartheid State by Max Coleman of the Human Rights Committee. Deaths due to political violence during apartheid. Max Coleman's authoritative book analyzes deaths due to political violence from 1948 to 1994 in South Africa and Namibia. According to the HRC statistics, 21,000 people died in political violence in South Africa during apartheid, of whom 14,000 people died during the 6-year transition from 1990 to 1994. The book lists the number of incidents, dates, and those involved. In July 1993 indicates a total of 8,580. 92% of the 9,325 violent deaths during the period June 1990 to July 1993 were caused by Africans killing Africans, or as the news media often calls it, black-on-black violence, hostile killings, and Nkatha Freedom Party versus the ANC killings, and taxi and turf war violence. The activities of the Civil Cooperation Bureau, as outlined by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, were also included in these figures. The security forces caused 518 deaths, 5.6% throughout this period. And again, during the transitional period, the primary cause of deaths were not security forces nor white right-wing violence against blacks, but mainly due to black-on-black necklace murders, tribal conflict between the ANC-IFP, bombs by the ANC and PAC military wings in shopping centers, landmines on farm roads, etc. After apartheid, the present AIDS-HIV epidemic, against which the Mbeki regime undertakes no action and still is publicly failing to do properly. Acknowledge the World Health Organization estimates that more than 6 million African South Africans will be dead within the forthcoming decade, and the Mbeki-led ANC regime, which could have undertaken a huge prevention campaign such as Uganda's a long time ago, has done nothing to stave off this terrible death rate. South Africa's hospitals becoming places of death. In November last year, it was being reported in the Star that South Africans' hospitals are becoming places for dying instead of healing. In June this year, it was reported that our cemeteries were filling up so rapidly that upright funerals were being contemplated to save space. Still, AIDS is not being spoken about at our funerals, and the silence and utterly unscientific public statements about HIV/AIDS from Mbekis continue unabated while our people are dying. Democratic Alliance spokesman Jack Bloom warned last year that 20% rise in deaths over the past 4 years among patients treated at Johannesburg Hospital could only be blamed on the high crime rate and the very serious decline in patient care. Why is our patient care so poor now and our crime rate so high? The answer is simple. Our public funds are being looted by the ANC hierarchy, and the police seems helpless to stop it. Tuberculosis funds looted. In July 2001, the SA Health Department announced that it was going to stop 6.6 million in annual funding to SA National Tuberculosis Association because of the ongoing looting of its funds and the lavish lifestyles of its African executives, who award themselves 400,000 rand annual salaries and spend 5,000 a month on cell phone calls alone, while millions of South African TB patients go untreated and are wasting away of a deadly but curable disease. During apartheid, please note that the SANTA executives were seen to be extremely frugal with the government's funding, that many thousands of patients were cured annually, and that many doctors and nurses even volunteered their services free of charge. The question is this: why is this man still CEO of SANTA? Why has he not been fired on the spot? Violent deaths from 1994 to 2000, and the SA Police report this month accessed their websites, total of 147,220 people died violent deaths from crime-related violence between 1994 and 2000. So many questions is this: did apartheid ever kill as many Africans as are now being killed by the deliberate neglect of looting of our tax funds by the current supposedly democratic Mbeki regime? Now, this is a lot of interesting information, and I doubt that many of the keyboard warriors will ever even read it. And then you have the problem with this 30% pass rate. They cannot read with comprehension, so they read facts like these, but it doesn't make sense to them because they don't understand what they are reading. And I did this Skidmarks specifically just to have it on a record that it is utter bullshit to talk about people, high numbers of people killed by the apartheid regime. And on that, please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Have a great day.